If you want to have something, you need to do something. Before you can do something, you need to be somebody.
Can you imagine buying a course that has like 15 modules and you're going through all these modules and then you're listening to like 15, 20 minutes of video in all these modules and it's just explaining to you their past experience, but they're not giving you like, okay, this is how I overcame it and this is what I did, but they're just basically teaching you stuff that you could have Googled?
Yeah, it's like taking a manifestation course, right? When somebody's teaching you how to manifest, and then you start manifesting, and you're like, I'm not manifesting.
I am so excited about this. This right here, I wish that I saw a video of this when I was going through this, okay? If you're in the online space and you're trying to figure out how the heck are these people making so much money in the online space, and I studied the courses, I read the books, I got a few coaches, but it's like it's not hitting for me. This right here is going to tell you how you've been lied to. And you've probably been lied to a couple of times on what to do in the online space in order for you to generate income. Because what's the point, right? What is the point of you trying to figure out this online space to make more money?
Yeah, this episode. We're probably gonna step on some toes and hurt some feelings, and not throw shade, but throw some flashlight in some dark corners. And the concept we're going about here is, there's a guy, Kevin Trudeau. He wrote this book called Your Wish is Your Command. And there's another guy called Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote this book called Fake. And I believe one of the reasons why you're struggling so much is because your teachers are fake. Your coaches are fake. Your mentors are fake. And they're real people, but the way they are getting to where they're getting to is because they're selling you the way to get to where you need to get to. And that's how they get into where they got to. So they didn't get there, and now they're leaving you the blueprint. They're selling you the blueprint, which they've never used, to get you to where you need to get to, which gets them to where they need to get to.
My God, you said that you was gonna shed some light. Like you just like throwing like I don't know what you doing. You more than stepping on toes. You said the teachers is fake. You said a whole bunch of stuff.
Hey, it's the real deal. It's one of those things where if I don't know how to swim, can I teach you how to swim? Right? If I don't know how to ride a bike, can I teach you how to ride a bike? Now, I can tell you by, hey, put your foot up, pedal the bicycle, push. I could say, hey, jump in the pool, move your hand like that, move your hand like that. But if you've never been in the water and you don't know how to swim in, 40-degree water temperatures, or you don't know how to, ride a bike when it's coming down the hill, or if you don't know not to press the brake that stops the front wheel, because if you press the brake that stops the front wheel, the back wheel going to pick up and you're going to do a forward flip. So if you've never experienced those things, if you don't have those bruises, those cuts and those scars, it's really hard for you to help somebody when they're going through the challenges they're going through. And one of the things that we see now is soon as somebody get exposed to something, with the era of social media, it's like everybody's an expert. Everybody is a guru. Everybody, have receipts, because you can go to Canva and you can make receipts.
Oh my God. Listen, to summarize what we're going to talk about today, we're basically saying that the online space, the people in the online space have been lying to you. And, I wonder if it's more lying or if they decided that they're going to have the confidence to just run with it, because people are paying.
I wouldn't say lying. It's, it's a little bit of a game.
Give
They're
them an
gaming.
example of what we're talking about. So if you're a couple, if you're a parent, or if you're just an individual and you're looking to bring in an extra $1,000 a month, or if you're just looking to just learn how to tap into this digital space, listen, we have a Secure the Bag with Bae bundle, okay? And we're excited about it because not only do you get access to a whole bunch of things in there, but you also get access to us.
It's a no-brainer.
No
If I can get access to a program that teach me how to do all of that step by step, where I'm not wasting time, I'm not wasting money, I'm just able to get in and get some results, and I got a community of like-minded people that went through it, that can show me the ropes too, hey, what do I have to lose?
We are in the era of 2025. We are in the era of digital. We are in the era of online. So it's like use this era to your advantage. One thing that we learned coming through our journey for the past close to a decade in entrepreneurship is the best way and the fastest way to get results is to get coaching and mentoring. And so we just wanted to not block anybody's blessing, and we wanted to just create this Couples Wealth Academy. We wanted to do the Secure the Bag bundle so that we can share with you our expertise on how to just generate that extra income. Okay.
Yeah.
So Secure the Bag with Bae Bundle is officially out and we're really excited about it.
An example of what I'm talking about is, you will see somebody in a position where, they're making money, right? They're making six figures. They've made six figures. You see them get on the internet and they're like, hey, I went viral and I made $20,000 last month. Now, when you get with that person and you're like, hey, can you show me how to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that person now tries to show you, not because they did it for themselves. It doesn't mean they have the blueprint to teach it to you step by step. Right? That's one. Second thing that I've seen is I've come around some people where they've made some money, right? From what I've seen. But when you start talking to them and you start asking them, so how do I do this? How do I do that? How am I supposed to do this? They really can't tell you what to do because what they did to make money was they sold you the shovel, but they can't tell you how to use the shovel, right? I don't know if that was a clear enough example, or should I get it? I don't. Like I said, I don't want. It's just that I don't want to beat anybody up, but I don't want to beat anybody up too bad.
So, but a good example of it is more like somebody wrote a book, right?
Yeah.
And they wrote a book about how to make six figures in less than 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay. And they haven't made the six figures in 30 days yet. However, they wrote the book on how to make six figures in 30 days. And so what can happen is because they know how to market and promote this book, nobody's going to really ask them, hey, let me see receipts for your six figures.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is they sell the book to the point where they make the six figures and then come back and say, hey, I made six figures in 30 days because they sold you something that people wanted, that had answers. But it's not necessarily that they sold it before they made the book. They made the book to make the money, and now they're making six figures. I hope that makes sense.
That makes sense 100%. Another example is how to make six figures with AI, right? How to make six figures with AI. So what's interesting is a friend of mine came to me, and this is a couple months ago, with ChatGPT, and we sat down, and he was like, "Don, man, you're like a prompt engineer." And I was like, "What's a prompt engineer?" And he was like, "You know how to put certain prompts in the chat to give it back a feedback." And he was like, "You can make money selling this." And at the time, I was like, people don't really know about AI like that. Nobody's gonna use it. And this is before ChatGPT was big. And lo and behold, a couple months later, ChatGPT's all over the place, right? Now, I say this because I've also seen a lot of people, hey, how to make six figures with ChatGPT. It doesn't necessarily mean that they've made six figures with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just trending. And because it's trending, they will make a video about it. They will make a YouTube video about it. They will make some type of content about it and put a digital product in it because AI can create that digital product and then generate their income from that product. And I think it was Kevin Trudeau. He calls those people fake teachers because they don't really know the sauce, right? They never really lived it. So what they're doing is they're accumulating money from selling you the idea, which in a way they are making the money, but they haven't really lived it. So it's one of those things where it's not bashing, it's just bringing awareness to you that everything is energy, right? So for me to be able to transfer energy to you, I need to know what the level of frequency and vibration that energy is. If I don't know what it is, I can't transfer it to you. So sometimes you may be working with somebody and you're not getting a result. It's because they're not able to transfer that energy or frequency to you for you to pick that up to get to where you need to get to.
Right.
And, one of the biggest things we realized was all of this stuff was fluff. A lot of people, they just talk about it. When did we realize it was a lot of fluff? Do you remember?
I think it's an accumulation, right? I think for the past decade that we've been in the online space and we've been generating income in the online space, like we've bought plenty of courses, we've bought plenty of books, and we had a few coaching mentors. And what I realized is like throughout that whole journey, when I look back at it now, I still felt lost.
Yeah.
I still felt lost. I felt like it was a whole bunch of like jargon, but it was empty.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
let me tell you the amount of courses that we bought and that we went into. You know, it was just a lot of words without like the secret sauce. It's like they're not really telling you what is the secret, even though there's really no secret. The secret is consistency. The secret is figuring out who your audience is. The secret is making sure that you talk to the pain point of your audience. That's the real secret. Because if you really had to hone in the online space, the secret is those things, right? But can you imagine buying a course that has like 15 modules, and you're going through all these modules, and then you're listening to like 15, 20 minutes of video in all these modules, and it's just explaining to you their past experience, but they're not giving you like, okay, this is how I overcame it and this is what I did, but they're just basically teaching you stuff that you could have Googled.
Yeah. It's like taking a manifestation course, right? When somebody's teaching you how to manifest, and then you start manifesting, and you're like, I'm not manifesting. So, but here's the thing though, you are manifesting. Like Felicia said, the reason why we work so well together is coming from a network marketing background, you can't fake it. Right. It's like, where your numbers at? How many calls you made this week? How many guests you got showing up? Right. How many calls did you do? How many presentations did you do? You can't hide that. So coming from a network marketing background, we know how to do mindset, but we also know how to do skill set.
Right.
Right. And our last company we worked in, what we taught was skill set. We did some mindset, but we also taught skill set. And one of the things that we've practiced today is a 3-step formula, which is called be, do, have. And you've probably heard of it before. Be, do, have. If you want to have something, you need to do something. Before you can do something, you need to be somebody. So we give people the tools and the resources they need to go be the person, which is the books, which is the courses, which is the information, right? You need to get the words in so it can form in. Then you need to go do. In order for you to go do, you need the skill sets. So what are the skill sets would I need to go do this thing so I can have a result? And a great example is social media. If you want to make money online, well, let's reverse engineer it. What do you need? You need to have, in order for you to make $1,000, well, let's keep it simple. In order for you to make $100, you would need to have either $100 product or a $10 product that you're going to sell 10 times.
Right.
So if you're doing a $100 product, somebody would need to put their credit card into your website, or they would need to put their credit card into your payment processor. It doesn't have to be a website. I've made money by telling people just cash at me. I've made money by telling people, here's my Zelle me. But you need to have something that collects the money.
Right. And that's not the way to do it if you're running a business, just to let you know.
It could be something. You could just say, hey, here's a transaction, Zelle me or cash at me.
Right.
We just reverse engineer it.
Right.
So you need to have something that collects the money. But before you can collect the money, you need to have something that they want, which is your offer, right? What is the thing that you're going to present? So one, in order for you to present an offer, you would need to be skilled in presenting offers.
Correct. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that. We're talking about that just right there. The fact that you need to be skilled to sell the offer.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, the whole fluff and this expert thing is they're going to put all these things out. However, they're not telling you, hey, you need the skill set of selling.
Yeah.
Like they're scared to say what the people don't like. And what the people don't like is the term sell.
Selling is a skill set.
Right? What the people don't like is the term, hey, you have to use social media. A lot of people say, yeah, I don't want to show up online. Okay, but social media is necessary.
Yeah.
You understand? Especially if you're in the online space, right? So like that right there, I had to come back to you on that because that's the thing. A lot of times people are selling through hype, and the hype that they're selling from does not help you. And I'll give a great example of it. There was a season that I was constantly on TikTok, right? And I would go on a few people's lives. And if you're on TikTok, on their lives, they will sell on lives, which is a great skill set to learn. But what happens they get people really emotionally going emotionally turned up because they're like, they got their screenshot of how much they made, and they're like, this has changed my life, da 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 da, but they're really not explaining to you what's inside. They're really not going in on the fact that you need the skill set of coming on live, like
Yeah.
throughout all the
Yeah.
lives that I've been
Yeah.
through, right?
They're not telling you they made their money selling on
On
live.
live.
So teach me how to sell on live.
Exactly. So like throughout all the lives that I've been on, I probably think maybe like two or three people would say, "Hey, you have to learn to sell on live because that's how I generated income." Most of them would say, "No, you don't have to. You don't have to come up on live." Like I've asked questions in the chat and say, "Hey, are you making more of your income because you're showing up on live?" And they'd be like, "No, you don't necessarily have to show up online," which is true if they have a system where they're doing it through Instagram or they're doing a lot of content and they put it in out. But you're on live right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and you're making sell on live right now. So if you're also doing it outside of live, you still need to confirm that, yes, I've learned the skill set to come and do it on live.
Yeah. This is a perfect example that copying can lead to conflict, because when you copy somebody else, how they're executing their strategy without understanding within yourself, you're going to have conflict. So like Felicia said, you went and you bought a program from somebody on live stream. That's because you were emotionally, they said exactly what you needed to hear, and you made a purchase. Now you got the program, you go through the program, and now you're like, okay, how do I make money? You have to go now do what they did, which is you now have to go on live stream and sell it exactly how they sell it. The challenge is that's really not what you want to do. Also, that's not who you are. Remember, we said be, do, have. You did not do the things to become the person who can sell on the live stream. What does that mean? You don't know how to communicate. You don't know how to do a pitch. You don't know how to tell stories. You don't know how to make an offer. You don't know how to reflip your live room every 15 minutes. You're still concerned about the number of people on your live stream. You haven't developed the consistency to show up every single day and do it. So now you're like, oh, the program don't work. It's not that the program don't work. It's that person within their story did something to become someone to have that result that they have. And that's why whenever I work with people, I always tell them it's be, do, have. Be, do, have. This is what you want to have. This is what you need to do. This is who you need to become. So if you're having conflict with the doing, that's because you've never become the person who needs to do the thing that you need to do to have what you need to have. This is why the word says you need to be reborn. You need to reform your mind, right? You need to seek ye the kingdom, which is you need to go renew your mindset, renew everything about you so you can do that thing, right? So
Right.
that was something that we noticed, and we're like, nobody's talking about that.
And here's another thing, right? A lot of times, well, at least now, back then people used to be scared of showing how much they make, right?
Hmm.
And nowadays people are having screenshots right there while they're doing their live about how much they make, which there's nothing wrong with it, showing somebody else the proof of what happened to you so that they can feel like, oh my God, if this can happen for her, it can happen for
Hmm.
me. It's a great thing. However, that is not sustainability.
Yeah.
That's like, I've tried to do a live and put that up and I feel so uncomfortable. And I don't feel uncomfortable because I don't want to share with people how much I made. I feel uncomfortable because I know that this system does not work for every platform that you have. And if a system for me do not work for every platform that I have, then it's not duplicatable. That means that how about if somebody comes in and they're brand new and they don't have proof of money that they made?
Yeah.
They'll start to believe like, man, I have to do it like this person, but you didn't make the money yet for you to do it like this person. And so what do you have to do? You have to learn a different way for you to sell and market outside of that. So there's nothing wrong with it, but the experts who are doing that are just filling people up with the emotion
Mm-hmm.
of, I can see it and I could believe it, which is not bad. But the people who really, really know ain't doing that.
Yeah, because you can't duplicate that.
You
If
can't.
somebody's selling you a screenshot of, hey, I made $60,000, and you see $60,000 and you buy that program and you want to go make money tomorrow, you don't have a $60,000 screenshot to put on your screen. And second, you don't have the skill sets that they've developed and the repetitions that they got to go do what they've done. So like Felicia said, it's not duplicatable. And that's also one of the reasons why you're struggling. You're struggling because you're trying to copy what they did. And this is where the conflict leads to. Now, copying is a great thing, but you have to copy the right system. And this is why we said there's a lot of fake teachers,
Right.
right? They're fake because the way they got to where they got to is sometimes not even real, right? They got to where, and sometimes you don't even know if those screenshots are real, right? Because, Canva is a beautiful thing. Canva is a beautiful thing. You can move some ones and move some zeros.
Right.
But, some of them are real. Some of
Right.
them are real. And for the ones who are real, they will always make money. They will always make money because they've achieved a level of status where they're selling lifestyle and they're selling results. But you going in, you don't have that. So you're going to struggle. So let me ask you this. Somebody who don't have that, what would they need to start out? What would they need to understand?
So a lot of the experts that you see now, we're in a shift right now. And the shift is more of individuals realizing like, okay, because there is Chat GPT and AI, people don't trust people like they used to.
Yeah.
And because people don't trust people like they used to, it's going to be harder for you to get the sale. So what does that mean? That means in order to answer your question, in order for you to get the result of what you're looking for, you really need to come into alignment with who you are.
Yes.
You need to come in alignment with who you are, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and how you want to deliver it. Because if you're copying somebody else's system and you're like, you know something, I like the way that she does it. Yes, take the pointers, see how you want to implement it, but implement it to the aligned you, to the you who know who you are, what you want, how you want to deliver it, what transformation you want people to get. Because if you don't do it that way, you're going to always go back to the drawing board and you're going to realize like, man, this is just another tactic. It's not something that I can continue to do for a very long time. Like, I believe that in marketing and sales, there's laws.
Yeah.
And if you follow the laws and not what's trending, you're going to always generate income. You're going to always be that go-to person for that industry. Follow the laws and the principles of selling and marketing instead of going with the trends that's happening. Take the trends, run with the trends, but don't let the trends be your business system.
Yeah. That's so good because when you build your foundation off of something that you've not become, it's easy for the devil to come and just lie to you and just hit you with self-sabotage, hit you with imposter syndrome, hit you with doubt, hit you with fear, hit you with indecision, hit you with procrastination, double-mindedness. And those are all weapons that the enemy uses because you yourself don't know who you are, right? So not saying that you can't get there, you can, but there are some prerequisites, like Felicia said, there are laws. And when you really look at it, right, we're gonna share with you a simple principle, a sales strategy that we've learned that we use. We'll know in a little bit, so just stick around. But there's some foundations and principles that you do need to follow because if you don't, you're just gonna be all over the place. Like, you ever seen that plastic bag floating around? The wind just blowing you left and right, and then you're just like, hey, I'm not getting any results. I'm not seeing any progress. I'm not seeing any traction. Or you may have a breakout moment where you have, boom, a little burst. But because you've never become the person, you can't maintain it. Right. You've gotten a result, but you never become the person to get that result. So you can't maintain it. So you fall backwards.
So, Damo, if I were to ask you, what is it that we do differently than what is so-called trending or popular or, whatever the fluff and the gurus are saying, what is it that we do differently?
The number one thing is we don't sell what we haven't lived, right? We come from a place of experience, a place of truth, a place of just, coaching, mentorship, and just having somebody who took us along the path, right? And now what we're doing is we're just sharing that same path that we learned, right? A perfect example is coming through network marketing. We had to do the brand, the prospecting. We had to do the phone calls. We had to do the kitchen table presentations. We had to do the kneecap to kneecap recruiting. We had to do the overcoming objections. So when we understood that, it was like, how do we convert that into an online business? So we knew the skill sets, we just didn't know how to convert it into the online world. So then what did we go learn? We learned about copywriting. We learned about funnels. We learned about how to do an in-person presentation to a online webinar because we understood the flow of sales, right? We understood that, hey, for me to have a recruit, for me to get a sale, I need to recruit somebody. For me to recruit somebody, I need to have a guest showing up. For me to have a guest showing up, I got to go make some phone calls. For me to make the phone calls, I got to have some phone numbers. So that's a pipeline. So it's the same thing in your online business. For you to get a customer, you need to do a sales event. For you to do a sales event, you need to invite people to that event. For you to invite people to that event, you need to go get some people, some prospects, which is social media, making your content, which is your marketing and your promotion. So everything we've done is from a place of experience. So when we get on the phone with somebody or we coach somebody, that's why the results are so fast. That's why the results are
Brand.
so grand. They're so dramatic because we know how to swim. We know how to ride the bike.
Right. And the reason why our clients' results are so grand is because we teach strategy that's built on their identity, okay? And also spiritual order because we're faith individuals, right? And what that means is we don't teach the strategy based off of, okay, this is the amount of leads that you need to come through this funnel. No. We like, okay, what is it that you like to do? How is it that you like to show up? And based on how it is that you want your ecosystem set up, we set it up based off of what you feel comfortable with. Because a lot of times, like you can force yourself to do something and you might get that result, but sometimes for the most part, you don't. So
Yeah.
when you base it off of your identity, your alignment, who you are, it becomes so much easier because why you're yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to pull from a place that you gotta go become because you're already it.
Yeah. The very first question we ask anybody who we work with is, what do you want to be known for?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to be
In this
known for?
season, because it's sometimes it's not what do you want to be known for forever,
Yeah.
but
In this season, yeah.
right, what you're presenting to us. Okay, what is it that you want to be known for this season or for this sales event or for whatever it is that you're doing? Because it's what do you want?
Yeah. What do you want? What do you want to be known for? And then who do you want to help? What do you want to be known for? And then who do you want to help? Once we have that down pack, the rest is let's just get to work.
Yeah.
Let's just get to work.
Let's
Let's
put the
just put you.
strategy in place, the systems in place. All the other stuff is easy. Putting the strategy and the systems in place. Once you know what do you want, who do you want to be known for?
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about this is we didn't learn this from reading a book. We didn't learn this, we didn't take this from anybody. What we did was we lived our experience, and from our failures, from being around mentors, from being around coaches, every time we learned something, we documented it. And we're like, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm not going to make that mistake again. The other day I spoke to a friend of mine and I was like, hey man, I see you posting content, keep doing it. And he was like, yeah, but I don't want to be known for that. He was like, I don't want to be known for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was like, but you're really good at it, but you don't want to be known for that.
Right.
So what that tells me is there's some identity alignment there. The thing that you want to be known for, there's still a little bit of a conflict of how you bring that to the table.
Right.
So that means before we can do the execution, we got to do some inner work,
Right.
which is the be do have. Right. You're going to have conflict with the execution because you haven't become the person to do the thing you need to do to have what you need to have.
And then you'll see other people online doing what you want to do, but because you didn't become that, you're gonna you might go copy, but then realize like this ain't it. And what Damo said, to piggyback off of that, we learn from pain.
Yeah.
We learn from the fact that when he said that I don't want to be known for that, we've had so many seasons of I don't want to be known for that. I don't want to be known as a life insurance agent forever. I don't want to be known. I want to be known for me. But even being known for me requires messaging. It requires be do have. It requires an alignment strategy. So that's we learn from pain. Okay.
Yeah, I want to give you guys something. Can we give them something? I want to talk about one of our framework or maps framework.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just spend like 2 minutes on there just to give them that, because I know we talked a lot about the fake teachers and what to watch out for and how we help our clients. But do you want to just go through the maps framework? Maybe just touch on it a little bit so they can get something from that.
For sure. So the framework that we use, our original framework, is called MAPS. Two P's, two S's, right? The M stands for mindset. Everything starts with mindset. The second is audience, the A, right? You got to figure out who your audience is. The third thing is problem. Figure out what the pain point of that individual, that audience have. After that is the other P, which is the product. What product or service are you going to put out there for the audience that you're talking to, right? Then after that, you need a system, and then you need strategy, right? And that framework, it works for everything.
Yeah, the great thing about that framework is a system that will not only just help you get what you want, it's going to help you go further, right? And we're sharing this because, we like to serve, right? We come from a servant posture, and we believe the more you give is the more you get, right? But the challenges that people have now in the online space is, even though we just gave you a framework, there are steps within that framework that we need to unpack, right? And for example, when it comes to products, there are, how do you create your product? How do you create your offer? How do you present your offer, right? And we do this based on what your customer values, right? Systems are pretty easy. That's your website, that's your email. The other thing, which is, I would say, one of the most important areas in this, is the strategy piece. And I love this part. This is the part where I show people how this equals to dollars. And this is how simple it is. This is how simple it is, how it equals to dollars. Let's say you're selling a product for $1,000, and you're like, hey, Dom, I want to make $10,000. Well, making $10,000 is easy because you just need to make 10 sales. The question is, how do I make 10 sales? You make 10 sales by doing a sales event where you invite people to that event, and then you present your offer. And let's say you have 100 people that showed up to that sales event. Well, we practice a law in network marketing, call it the 1 out of 10 law. For every time you invite 10 people to buy your service or your products, 9 of them going to say no. There's a book that we have back here, which is called Go for No, right? Go for No. Yes is the destination, no is how you get there. So if you make your offer to 10 people, 9 of them will say no. That means 1 will say yes. So every time 1 say yes, you just made $1,000. So if you have a sales event where you have 100 people attend that event, 90 of them said no, 10 said yes, you just made $10,000. And the beautiful thing about this is that sales event, you can do that in 1 hour or 2 hours, right? And that sales event can be a webinar, because we used to do presentations. We used to do something which is called op nights, where we get a whole bunch of people in a room and we do our company presentation. It's the same thing we're doing now, except we do it on a webinar. If you don't want to do a webinar, you could do a workshop. You don't want to do a workshop, you could do a masterclass. You don't want to do a masterclass, you could do a challenge. But you basically need a sales event where you're going to invite people to, you're going to present your offer, and you're going to ask them to do business with you. And another area where people get stuck is, okay, Dom, if I'm going to get 100 people to that sales event, would you mind sharing with them how they're going to get 100 people to that sales event?
So how are you going to get people to that specific sales event, right? It's content. We're in 2025. It's all about doing content around your audience pain points. It's all about giving value, making sure that somebody sees themselves in the content that you're doing, and you presented them an answer and they're like, wow, this was really good information and this is how I can implement it. It's all about content. It's positioning the right content with the right pain points, with the right answers to your specific group of people.
And the beautiful thing about content is there's different mediums of content, right? Your content can be a billboard, your content can be in the newspaper, like we get content to our door from the roofing company, right? For windows company. So you could do content in the mail, you can do influencer marketing content, you can do paid content, which is Facebook ads or Instagram ads or Pinterest ads or TikTok ads, whatever type of ads you want to do. And there's also organic content, right? So there's free content, there's paid content, right? You now have to decide based on your budget what you got, what you're working with, and how you're going to get the information out there. But that's the strategy. You now have to decide what's the best way you want to invite people to your sales event, right? And this is what we teach our clients, or we're sharing with you guys as far as our map strategy, right? So that's basically the blueprint that we use.
Right. And to add to the blueprint, listen, you're going to see a lot of YouTube videos, type in on Google or Chat GPT, and they're going to give you a lot of blueprints. But if you don't have your belief attached to that blueprint, it's a wrap.
Say that again one more time, which is say that again. Say that again one more time.
Listen, you're going to get a lot of blueprints, strategies. You're going to get people who tell you, hey, do this, or you're going to go Chat GPT it, or you're going to watch YouTube, or you're going to Google it, and you're going to get a lot of blueprints. And the thing is that all the blueprints work as long as you work it. However, if your belief is not attached to the blueprint, you are still going to be stuck. And so you have to figure out how this blueprint can embody who you are, which is your belief system. Like, you have to believe that you're deserving, that you're worthy of this, that if you take this blueprint and you put it to action, that exactly what you want to happen will happen abundantly, above and beyond your expectation. And if you don't believe that, first off, you're just going to be exactly where you are. It's like, what was it? It's like you have to prepare for the win so that when the win come, it stays.
Yeah, what Felicia said right there, that's the be, do, have. That's the first two letters in the word belief is be, right? Be. You have to go be. And the best information or the best advice I can give you guys in order to the be is grace, right? It's understanding, what God's love is like, right? God's unconditional love. Because sometimes we come from a place of so much hurt, so much pain, so much trauma, survival, right? That we don't feel like we're worth it. And we feel like we've messed up, and we feel like, who am I, right? I can't do that. But, God's grace is sufficient for all your needs, right? You can do all things through Christ, right? That's, you're going to have to reprogram your mindset. You're going to have to change your self-image. The challenge is, if you don't know self-image to reprogram yourself to, how do you find the North Star, right? If you come from a growing up in a childhood where they told you you ain't gonna be nothing, right? If you felt abandonment, if you felt hurt, if you felt betrayal, if you felt unforgived, unloved, right? You're now walking with all of these emotional wounds, all of these emotional baggages, and these things are ripping away at your confidence. So how do you reprogram your mind to a place where you can be successful, not just financially, but also emotionally, spiritually, right? Relationally, right? So you're going to have to go to a place of, you know what? I have grace. I have grace because God put certain things in place, and that's the reason why I'm here.
I wrestled with, reprogramming, because you'll always hear that. All the people's going to say, you got to reprogram your mind. You got to do this. You got to do that. And like, for me, in simple term, reprogramming is just taking some quiet time for yourself, figuring out what is it that you like, what is it that you don't like, and just putting the things like, what you don't like, what's the opposite of that looking like? Okay. And then attach action plans for that, while attaching something that could give you the foundation. And for us, the foundation is the word. For us is looking at the promises that, God has out there for us, and attaching those promises to the action, to the word. And so like over time, with just constantly growing, you'll just be renewed with that. Also, another thing is environment.
Yeah.
Environment is one of the biggest thing. It's like being around the people who pour into you instead of pull away from you. Because you will have people who will tear you down jokingly, but that is still hitting. And so understanding like I shouldn't be around that. And sometimes it's hard because it could be a close friend, it could be a family, it could be somebody who's close to you. So how do you get away from that? You got to figure it out. If you got to go out on weekends, or if you got to go sit somewhere in the library or go drink a Starbucks sometime, you got to figure a way to pour into you if other people aren't. And another thing is study. You know, study. There's if there's nothing that you literally can't Google if you're going through. You have depression. How do I get out of depression? ChatGPT, listen, ChatGPT is something serious, right? And it's not to say ChatGPT is God, right? However, you can go to ChatGPT and ask them a blueprint for you to get out of depression. So like, because depression is a thin line. I've been there, and I didn't have ChatGPT at that time, but I had Google. And I would say, hey, Google, like, I'm feeling this type of way. And boom, it would tell me, hey, go read this book, go listen to music, go do this, go do that, implement certain things. That's what you have to do. You have to be aware that where I'm at needs to change. And you have to go figure out, find out, or listen to the things that will help you get out of that hole. And I don't know why I went on that route, but
We hope you got something from this video. And key word here: watch out for fake teachers. Just watch out, right? If anybody's giving you the result, everybody's saying you can have this, all you got to do is do this. Well, just know that's not how it works. You have to be, do, have. You have to get the process of who do I need to become so I can go do the work, so I can go have the thing that I need to have. All right. So I hope you guys got something from this. Just to put it out there, guys, if we have a free Facebook group called Secure the Bag with Bae. It's a Facebook group for couples where we want to show you guys how to come together and generate additional income in your relationship. Doing it with Bae. That's why it's called Secure the Bag with Bae. If you don't have a Bae yet, can you get in? Yes, you can get in. You can get in. If you don't have a Bae, you can get in. So we're gonna leave the description for that below, and let us know what your biggest takeaway is from this video. Put it in the comment. Let us know what you guys think about it. And if you don't know who we are by now, we're the Entrepreneur Couple. I'm Dominique. And we'll see you in the next episode. All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for watching. And remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.
Looking for more tips on how to build your purpose-driven business? Be sure to check out our Money Making Secrets playlist at the top right-hand corner of the screen.
Or you can check out our most recent uploaded video right below.
Enjoy. See you soon.